Today, we are diving deep into the engine room of your brain. We're going to figure out how to maximize its function and, keep your mental performance firing on all cylinders. Have you ever had one of those moments you're deep in your work, completely in the zone, and then poof, it's just gone? All of a sudden, you're hit with this wave of brain fog, you can't concentrate, and your energy just completely bottoms out. You might reach for more coffee, but what if the real problem is something much more fundamental? Well, that feeling of your focus just vanishing, you can think of it like a brownout in your own personal power grid. It's a signal that, on a cellular level, something's gone offline. Your brain just isn't getting the raw materials it needs to generate the electrical energy that powers, everything you think and do. To really get this, you have to understand a core concept. Your brain and your entire nervous system run on electricity. Every single thought you have, every move you make, every sensation you feel, it's all powered by these tiny electrical signals zipping through your body. That's right, it's all about communication. The ability of your nerve cells, your neurons, to talk to each other electrically is the absolute foundation of your cognitive and physical performance. Without that constant, stable electrical activity, the whole system just grinds to a halt. Okay, so let's dive in a little deeper here. We're going to zoom in from this massive power grid of your nervous system, right down to the individual wires that make it all work, your neurons. How in the world do these tiny cells actually create that electrical spark?
It all comes down to something called the action potential. This is the real deal, the electrical signal, the literal pulse of energy that neurons fire to communicate. It is the basic unit of information in your brain. No action potentials, no brain function. It is that simple.
So what fuels this incredibly important spark? What's the gas in the engine? Well, the answer is electrolytes. These are specific minerals that carry an electric charge, and it turns out 3 of them are absolutely critical for powering every single action potential in your brain. First up, we've got sodium. Just think of sodium as the on switch for your neurons. When it's time for a nerve cell to fire, that action potential is literally triggered by a rush of sodium ions flooding into the cell. Without enough sodium, that switch is just stuck in the off position. Your brain's communication network just breaks down. But, firing is only half the battle. A neuron that can't reset itself is basically useless. And that's where potassium comes in. It's the reset switch. After a neuron fires, potassium moves out of the cell, which helps this tiny little engine called the sodium-potassium pump restore the balance. It gets the neuron ready for the very next signal, all in a matter of milliseconds. And finally, you have magnesium, which is kind of overseeing the whole operation. Think of it as the system stabilizer, or maybe the master electrician for the whole grid. It doesn't just flip one switch, it makes sure the entire electrical system of the neuron is healthy, stable, and running as efficiently as possible. You absolutely need all 3 of these guys, sodium, potassium, and magnesium, working together in perfect harmony. And this really shows you just how sensitive this whole system is. It doesn't take much at all to throw it off balance. We're not talking about being stranded in a desert here. Even a mild state of dehydration, which is really just another way of saying an electrolyte imbalance, can totally crush your performance. Now, what's so wild about this is just how small that number is. Research shows that losing just 2% of your body weight in fluid, which can happen easily from a tough workout or even just not drinking enough water on a hot day, is enough to cause a measurable drop in your mental accuracy and your physical output.
So this is the crucial question, right? If this system is so vital and so sensitive, why do so many of us feel that brain fog and fatigue? You might think you're doing everything right, but you could actually be unintentionally depleting these critical electrolytes.
And here's the crazy part. A lot of really healthy habits can actually contribute to this problem. If you're eating a clean diet that's low in processed foods, you're also getting way less sodium. Low-carb diets, they make you excrete more water and electrolytes with it. And of course, we all know that regular exercise and that morning cup of coffee are famous for flushing these vital minerals right out of your system. So, how do we fix this? Well, the solution isn't complicated, but it does mean we need to shift our thinking a little bit. It's not about just drinking more and more water. It's about hydrating smarter by focusing on what your cells actually need to do their job. See, just chugging plain water when you're already low on electrolytes can actually make things worse. You can end up diluting the sodium, potassium, and magnesium you have left, which is a huge problem for nerve function. Real hydration, true hydration, means you're replenishing both the water and the minerals that make your brain fire on all cylinders. So the protocol is actually pretty simple. First, make sure your hydration includes those key electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and magnesium.
Second, you have to make sure there's absolutely no sugar in there. It's just not needed for this process. And third, you have to make it a consistent habit, fueling your nerves, especially around workouts or times when you really need to think hard.
So here's the big takeaway. I want you to stop thinking about hydration as just quenching your thirst or hitting some number of ounces per day. Start thinking of it as maintaining the electrical potential of your brain. You are, quite literally, recharging your neurons every time you drink. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. When you reach for a drink, are you just drinking water, or are you consciously fueling the electrical grid that powers every single one of your thoughts? Because believe me, the difference is everything.